This time of social distancing to flatten the curve is the perfect time to spend more time with the Great Shepherd. Normally, believers are great at social distancing from God, not getting too close to Him, saying a few quick prayers like standing 2 meters away in a parking lot and then getting busy with my day. We normally draw near to people and keep a safe distance from God. This coronavirus has changed the world. Let God use it to change your heart and your routines and your life as well. Use the time to get closer to the Great Shepherd. Psalm 23 was my grandmother's favorite Bible passage. Maybe yours too. Maybe some of you can recite it from memory. I think I memorized it back in kindergarten like 400 years ago. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley, the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now the key phrase in the whole psalm is the first one. The Lord, Yahweh, is my shepherd. That settles everything. As the little girl said years ago, the Lord is my shepherd. That's all I want. As a lamb, I am the property, the possession of the shepherd God who views me as His own. I will never truly be in need. I may have lost a lot of extra things in life, things that I said were needs, but were really just wants. But as we watch life boil down all across the earth these days and weeks, I think we can realize that our needs are met. The Lord is my shepherd. He does 4 things. Number 1, He makes me lie down in green pastures. Philip Keller writes, because of their very makeup as restless, disoriented, and timid, it's almost impossible to make a sheep lie down. 4 requirements have to be met. They must be free from fear of predators, and they will view a rabbit as a predator. Free from friction with other sheep, free from flies, parasites, and other aggravations, and free from hunger. Only when fed can they relax. Maybe you feel the same way. These 4 freedoms depend on the diligence of the shepherd. He is the one whose attentiveness makes it possible for them to lie down, to rest, to relax, to be content and quiet and flourishing. David is saying, I have one impressive shepherd. Though life is going nuts, the shepherd who cares for me is so powerful. He gives me freedom from fear, friction, flies, and food shortages. We know that the fruit of the Spirit is peace from the inside, regardless of our circumstances. That's the first thing the shepherd gives us. Secondly, He leads me beside still waters. Sheep do better in semi-arid climates, but they need water every once in a while. If sheep become thirsty, they begin to wander away, and that is not good. Finding water, good water, that won't make the sheep sick is up to the shepherd. Sheep can get their water from morning dew. Sometimes shepherds create their own watering places by tapping into a secret spring and creating a trough for them to drink. That's really cool. But most times, it's knowing where the springs and the streams are. Remember, the sheep are afraid, so still waters are very important. David is saying, I have one impressive shepherd. He leads me to still, deep, quiet, and clean waters. For us, Jesus is the secret spring where the living water is. The Spirit is a fountain inside of us, welling up fresh water all the time, John chapter 4. But we can get distracted, staring at the parched COVID-19 landscape with our backs to the water. We need to turn around, look at the shepherd. Spend time in Isaiah 40 to 45 this weekend. Maybe write down 15 things about your shepherd, who's the one true God. I think you'll be impressed and comforted. Thirdly, he restores my soul. A cast sheep is a sheep that has turned or tumbled over on its back and cannot get up again by itself. Shepherds say that a cast sheep is a very pathetic sight, lying on its back with its hooves in the air, flailing away, frantically struggling to stand up without success. Sometimes it will bleat for a little bit of help, but normally it just lies there lashing about in frightened frustration. Now, you may say that would make a really funny video on YouTube, and I'm sure it's there, but if the owner does not arrive on the scene within a reasonably short period of time, the sheep will die. This is why a good shepherd looks over his flock every day, counting them to see if they're there and on their feet. Predators, buzzards, vultures, dogs, coyotes, they all know a cast sheep is easy prey, and the death is not far off. He restores my soul is not simply he renews my strength. The word soul can also be translated life. I think that many of us in this COVID pandemic have become cast sheep. An hour watching the news, all the new infections and deaths and politics and despair, put you on your back with your feet flailing in the air going, well, maybe not physically, but inside you feel helpless and hopeless. He restores my soul. My shepherd gets me back on my feet again, bringing me back to the place of beginning. He keeps me from falling prey to the predators of doubt and despair. Number 4, he leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Sheep are creatures of fear and therefore creatures of habit. They'll wear a pathway into a rut. They'll graze a pasture until it becomes a desert with nothing green left, and then filled with bugs and parasites that are just waiting for the sheep to pass by. So the shepherd, in order to keep the sheep healthy, must keep them moving on new paths, right paths, better paths that are healthier for the sheep. Sameness for a sheep is a bad thing. It's interesting because the church is meant to be a living, growing, moving, missional thing. With the recent changes in world cultures, churches are having to innovate. They're flexing, learning. We're fearful. It's also new, but we also know that God has 10,000 reasons wrapped up in this massive world change, and it is for his name's sake. So the shepherd guides us in right paths, not really for our sake, but for his name's sake. In these times, we need to reflect him well, to make him famous to the world that desperately needs him. That's all for now from the 23rd Psalm. Have a great day.